All right, guys, welcome back to the Anything Goes podcast, episode 19. This is a Gamer Talk edition. This is our early E3 overview and award ceremony. And I'm joined by two very good friends of mine. I'm joined by Mr. Zacchariah. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, King. How about you?
Not too bad. And guys, please don't forget to check out Mr. Zacchariah on Twitch. He streams Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays.
That's right.
Tuesdays is typically Paladins.
Paladins
Thursdays,
on Tuesdays.
Apex is usually on
Thursdays,
Thursdays.
Apex Legends.
And this Friday,
Right.
Friday's usually a single player game, and he's currently streaming Fury. And he's doing pretty well on it last time, so you know what
It's a
I mean?
fucking headache.
Yo, this might not take
It's an absolute headache.
this might not take enough credit at all, but you know what I mean? A very entertaining upcoming streamer. So guys, please remember to check him out. Give him some love and support. And also, I'm joined by a good friend of mine, a previous guest on the show, Nero. How you doing, sir?
Hi, I'm good. I'm just here, enjoying myself.
We have Mr. Cali in the chat. How you doing, sir? So you got our guest here, Mr. Cali, a regular viewer of both my work and Mr. Zacchariah's. So thank you for
Of
coming
course.
on. Big respect.
Faithful viewer.
Faithful viewer.
Always supporting.
Very faithful viewer, man. He's a good fella, man. We got to get. I was supposed to get him on at the time, but some things happened, so we haven't have him on, man. Got to wrap the audience, man.
One of these days.
One of these days. And don't forget, guys, I'm also a member of the Bearded Conversation podcast. It drops every Saturday, and links in the description below. So please, every guys, to go and check it out. But guys, as I said, we're talking about E3. We can give our views, our opinions, and we can have a little fun, a little awards. So let me start this off here, man. We gotta start off with Summer's Game Fest. I call it Summer's Mess. Honestly, I like Geoff Keighley, but I was again not very impressed by this show. Felt a bit dry. Had some bad performances. I didn't think that was very necessary. Had Ryan Reynolds. I thought he was going to come out and do a Deadpool video game. It turns out that some new movie he's promoting, and I'm a fan of film. I love film, but I kind of think this is the video games time. I think this should be exclusive to video games. I think Jeff is a little to touch. You know what I mean? He does his thing, but it's Geoff Keighley. But for you guys, it was the big reveal of Elden Ring. I know some of you guys are big into the Souls genre. Y'all not cowards like me that run from these games. So Elden Ring was unveiled. So I talked to a gentleman who was a bit of a fan of these games, Mr. Nero. What were your thoughts on the Elden Ring reveal? Were you impressed, or do you need to see more to be hyped up for the game?
I mean, it looked pretty good, to be quite honest. I would say actually it looks. How can I put this? I feel like it looks a bit more not fast paced, but a little more like bombastic compared to other Dark Souls games. And I don't know. I mean, it looked really good, and it's not just only following the fantasy thing. It seems like got a lot going on with it. So I would love to get into it. I mean, when I got the money, I would love to get it. But I'm tentatively hyped,
Tentatively hyped.
basically.
Okay. And Mrs. Zacchariah, what's your thoughts on Elden Ring or either the entire Summer Games Fest held by Geoff Keighley? Were you impressed? Were you not? Am I hater? Or was it a show that worth criticism?
My thing about the Summer Games Fest. Sorry to cut you off there. I guess about the Summer Games Fest, I didn't catch it in detail. I did see Elden Ring. I didn't see this Ryan Reynolds movie that you're talking about. And like you're saying, this is like the video game event. I feel like we need to touch on this idea of movies and TV shows being presented during quote unquote E3, but we'll get on that later. But there was Elden Ring, because that one did stick with me. But in terms of what other games did I'll talk about Elden Ring, but remind me what games we had at Summer Games Fest as well. But Elden Ring, I'm not really a Souls player. I know Nero has a greater appreciation for the Souls games than I do. I've played Neo, which is very Souls-like, and I enjoyed it. I fucking love it. I've never played a Souls game proper, but I did see Elden Ring, and it didn't quite grab me. Like, looking at the Souls games, looking at Elden Ring, looking at say like Bloodborne, for me, like atmosphere is super important, and I've never been like a fantasy games guy. It's not really for me. Like I would jump into Bloodborne first before I try this. It looks amazing. It looks gorgeous. Izaki clearly put so much work, and From Software put so much work into their games, but it would be like a soft pass for the time being. There has to be something to pull me in to really make me think, hey, this is a spy for me.
Okay. So
Well,
the dragon shooting lightning doesn't pull you in, man. Come on.
No, I'm a very particular man. If it were a robot dragon shooting lightning, then you might get me.
Fair,
you're right. You know,
fair,
it's
fair
convincing
enough.
this man's so stubborn. But in terms of me, honestly, I'm not a big fan of the Souls-like games. One thing I
Mhm.
give all of them, I do like the art direction of them. I think this one again has great art direction, graphics pretty decent, a bit better
Mhm.
than what I've seen for the other games in the past. But I still not getting that big graphical showcase. But to be fair, that's never been From Software's biggest strength. But it looks interesting. I think if you're a Souls fan, especially of the more the Dark Souls game rather than Bloodborne or Sekiro, I think you'll really like
Mhm.
it. But
Mhm.
for me, I'm soft, so I can get this game a skip. I think it was Neuro asked what games were unveiled. We had the 2018 Wonderlands trailer. We had
Right, that's
Metaslug
right.
Tactics. Pretty cool game.
Mhm.
Metaslug, OG.
Yeah,
We
Metal
had
Slug.
yeah, we had
Hold up.
Kojima
Ooh.
doing Death Stranding director's cut with our boy hopping out of a box. So I don't know what that will entail, what the changes that were made to the game. We had Jurassic World Evolution 2. I don't care. Among Us coming to
Evolution.
consoles. We have Salt and Sanctuary. Not my cup of not my cup of tea. And well, we have Vampire Masquerade's Blood Hunt, which is a vampire battle royale.
Yeah, that I saw that one and that kind of baffled me because I saw what Blood Hunt was in the trailer was like purely cinematic
Mm-hmm.
or like there was some kind of gameplay elements. But when I looked up, I realized or I learned it was a Vampire Masquerade game, which is a tabletop and video game RPG series similar to like Cyberpunk. And
Yeah.
then to find out they're making a battle royale in that universe, it surprised
So
me.
it's
I'm
so odd.
intrigued. It is like I can't imagine how that's going to work, but I like to think that the team behind it knows what they're doing. But yeah, that's a surprising one there.
Yeah, because when I first saw, it, I thought it was honestly just 'cause I know there's Bloodlines Masquerades 2 coming out, so I thought it's maybe I know the game has some development trouble, some stuff with the writer came
Hmm.
out. I just thought it was probably a rebranding of the game, just to get away from that stigma, just in case and that had lingered on. But to
Hmm.
find it out is a battle royale was a bit shocking in my opinion.
It's
Yeah,
weird, but
it's
they got to know what
weird.
they're doing.
Well, I wish him the best of luck. You had Tales
Mhm.
of Race trailer. Honestly, that was another pretty good trailer as well. I think I actually like that one. Overwatch 2 show off some weird characters as usual. Uh, and that's it primarily for me. And
Mm.
nothing really piqued my interest. They had a bit of Back for Blood. I mean,
Yeah, just pass. Hard pass on that one. I genuinely don't care.
if you want to give me it for free, I'll play it. But
Yeah, fair.
yeah, I don't know. So I think we can move on from Summer's Game
Hmm.
Fest.
Hmm.
All right. But I think in between this and Ubisoft, okay, Ubisoft was the first big presser that we had. We had the announcement of Battlefield 2042, as they call it, Battle Pass 2042. Childish. It was announced, I think, on
Your charm.
Thursday. I don't know if it's
It was
true.
announced on Thursday, but we saw more. I think on Thursday, but we saw more information about it today.
Okay. Now I want to discuss it like this. I want to go before we go into what we saw today. I want to
Hmm.
keep in that time frame.
Hmm.
What was your guys' initial thoughts when y'all first saw the trailer and then hear the news surrounding the game? I'll start off with
Uh,
you go ahead, Zacchariah. Go ahead.
sorry, I keep cutting you off. I don't mean to do that. Batshit. In one word, absolute batshit. You've got they're taking what I guess the game is unofficially known for, like in terms of what people will do in the game beyond their expectations of being a war shooter, a first person war shooter. And they're like, hey, you know how you guys like to jump out the jets and fire a rocket at the enemy jet and climb back in mid fight, and you like to drive an ATV off the roof into the helicopters. Like, you can do that. It's part. We acknowledge what you're doing, and we're giving you the ability to do that now. But even though, again, it's purely in a cinematic sense. So, batshit is my one word for now.
Yeah, Nero, what were your thoughts? Seeing the trailer, heard the news surrounding the game.
Honestly, I liked it a lot. Like, I'm a big fan of shooters. Even though I don't play a lot of them, like mostly was a Call of Duty guy. Then move on to Battlefield and Battlefield One, right? So I never experienced Battlefield with modern guns and everything. So I see this and I'm like, oh man, Battlefield modern guns, crazy bullshit going on. Uh, I just had a stupid joke in my head. Uh, Advanced weather systems, all that stuff. I'm like, man, this feels really good. I really want to play this. So yeah, I my impression is really good. I want to play it. Give it to me right now.
Give me that shit. Put that in
Uh,
my
Yeah,
veins.
I know how
exactly.
to drop it chart.
Isn't-
um, this one gonna be on a bit of a different note. When I heard there was no gameplay, honestly I didn't even bother watching the trailer. When it comes to
Mm.
multiplayer, I'm a guy that I believe you need to see gameplay because
Mm,
single player you're a lot more freedom in single player. You can have a lot of animations. You could do this. You could do that. In multiplayer. You can't have all those animations. You know, you get clapped. So
Mhm.
I like to see the game in real time running. And then I heard there was no
Mm.
campaign, and I know some people will say that's no big deal, but I think when you're paying $60 for a game and it's $70 on next gen, I believe it should be a full package. And I know the campaign of Battlefield has never been the primary focus, but that's like telling me buy a phone for $1,000 and don't mind just have a front face camera. I mean, not use selfie camera, but I still think a good one should be there. And that had me a little
Mm.
bit disappointed. And then to hear the battle pass and stuff got me a little down. So at that point in time, I wasn't really feeling it, man. I gotta be honest. I was a bit disappointed. I really hoped that Dice would come together and actually, kick the story up, kick the multiplayer up. I hit it with a two piece, or even put in
Mm.
a co-op mode or something. But yeah, man. When I heard there was no gameplay, then I heard the news around the price increase on that gen. Then hearing no campaign, I was a bit disappointed. So at that point in time, I was a bit down, man. But I get the hype, and I also said, look, I still waiting for the gameplay reveal to fully judge the game. And we will discuss it
Mhm.
a little later down because there was some gameplay shown today. So
Mhm.
all you Battlefield fans, don't thumbs down the video just yet. But at that point in time, I was a bit disappointed.
Understandable. With the expectations, it's understandable.
Yeah, yeah. And plus, I think the prices will have me a little bit. I'm a stickler for value, so
Yeah, but I think
it is what it
I've
is.
spoken enough on how games should be priced, so I won't dig that up again.
Yeah, I know we slightly have a slightly different take on the topic, but
Hmm.
yeah, but
But they are our own, so that's what makes it important.
it's true, and diversity is pretty good. So
Hmm.
I'm moving forward into that then on Saturday, and it was streamed and well covered by Mr. Zacchariah. I think he did a very good job, especially for his first attempt. You know,
Thank you very much.
I think this guy got a lot of potential, man. So and I really enjoyed
Thank
his
you, King.
coverage of the pressers. We started off with the Ubisoft presser, and
Hmm.
all because teasing it kind of the UB sleep presser. Uh, Honestly, it wasn't that bad though. I mean, it wasn't the greatest ever, but to me, it was a pretty that's a kind of solid-ish showing. It had a
Hmm.
little bit of typical Ubisoft cringe. It's less than usual,
Yeah.
but it still existed. They showed us some
Hmm.
games that look pretty good. Um, the Red Republic looks pretty interesting. Um, I actually at the time this game looked pretty mid to me. It's on screen right now. Well, the image of it, and it's instruction. Rainbow Six Extraction. I saw some
Mm.
gameplay of it, and I think it's similar to Back 4 Blood, but I think it looks a bit more solid to me. It looks a bit more
Mhm.
fun. I think it's something that I think Mr. Kelly, who is in the chat, will like. Um, leaving this conference, I honestly thought it was a pretty decent showing. As I say, it wasn't the best. I also had a little love for the Mario plus Rabbids game. A little bit silly, but it looked pretty good.
Um,
Don't tell Nero that.
jeez.
He is here. Shout out to Mr. Cotton Candy here. We gotta give him a shout out as well. I don't know if Mr. Zacchariah remember who that is.
Who's that?
Yeah,
What was
Just
his
Dance.
name? Yeah, Just Dance. I forgot his name now.
Yo, I don't know how that man get out here.
I forgot his name.
But
Listen, I don't know how he dyed his hair, but that pink was so fucking vibrant. I'm impressed. I'm genuinely envious.
Yo, Far Cry 6 is not my cup of tea. I think
Hmm.
especially since after 4, I've had some criticism of the franchise. But I do think if you're a fan of the games, you will like it. But I still have some criticisms, but I won't go into that right now.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay.
Nero, what were your thoughts on the Ubisoft presser?
It wasn't bad, right? It wasn't bad. I mean, don't laugh.
He
It
just
wasn't bad.
trails off at the end.
It was pretty solid. I mean, Extraction, it looked fine, but I feel like you need to see more of it. You need to see something that like the hook. You know what I mean? But that was fine. Ross Smith was actually a really good. Was it app, right? It's app and it's
I
mainly
believe
app,
it's
isn't
an
it?
app.
Services, app
I
and
believe
Well,
it's
it's a
an app.
subscription service,
subscription
but
service, yeah.
that's a really good idea. I mean, I don't play music. I suck at it. I also don't have any instruments, but I could see how that would be something that would help a lot of people, right?
Mhm.
Red Dead Republic looked pretty decent. New character for Rainbow Six Siege. Obviously, that was always pretty good.
Mhm.
Yeah, pretty okay. I mean, the upcoming movie and the TV show they're talking about was kind of meh. I mean, like, you know, I mean, it's good to see that a video game company can still kind of branch out and do, other stuff. Like they actually get into that type of level. But like, it was alright, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, oh, Mario Rapids. I mean, listen, the game looks good. I just don't like rabbits, but that's more of a personal vendetta, if anything. Yeah,
Is not
and
unreasonable.
they did mention, but the Avatar games are coming out.
Well, Chris,
I mean,
I'm a stickler for gameplay, and it was not so I completely for.
fair enough, fair enough. And that's fine. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Avatar, but it could turn out to be something decent. And I mean, the last Avatar game was the one I had on PSP and PS2. PS2? No, PS3. I think that was a long time ago. So it'd be cool to at least have something new. But yeah, it was a decent. Okay, like a 6. It wasn't bad. It wasn't stellar.
They saved the ratings for the end. They saved the ratings for the end. They saved the ratings for the end. But you say it's solid. Mr. Kelly
By
Well,
said.
award time.
Mr. Kelly
all right, fair
said,
enough.
Nero, you should give the game a chance. Rabbits may be fun.
No,
Maybe.
I played the other one on Switch, the other Rabbids game. I liked it because it's basically Mario XCOM. I just don't like the Rabbids. The game is
If
fine.
if you swapped out the rabbits for some other like nondescript little gremlin
Put the
entity,
Goombas
I'm
in
pretty
there.
sure he preferred. Put the Goombas. There you go.
I honestly prefer the rabbits to Mario, but hey, as a Mario here to
Yikes!
hot take.
Don't let
Wow.
anyone.
Hot take.
Don't let
Wow.
anyone hear that. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Zachary,
That's a
what were
that's
your
a
thoughts?
nuclear tick.
Spicy.
I'm gonna edit out. I'm gonna edit out in the rebroadcast. All right, Mr. Zacchariah, what was your thoughts on the Ubisoft press conference?
I think I'll summarize it best in this way. When I made a note of everything that was showed this past weekend, I would highlight the things that interested me the most. Nothing in Ubisoft's presser was highlighted. I highlighted stuff in Devolver, in Xbox, and in Square Enix. I didn't highlight anything in Ubisoft. And this is not a knock on Ubisoft and what they do, because attaching to what you said, King, their presser was good in that it was loaded with a lot of their significant stuff, like Rainbow Six and Far Cry, and AC Valhalla. Content coming up for that. It's stuff that people are gonna want. There's Mario and Rabbids, which caught me off guard, but it looks like a fun game, like Nero was saying. Rocksmith, as a guy who has been trying to learn the guitar for the past 15 years, Rocksmith looks like a cool service.
What's really going on?
Nah, that's called being lazy, sir. There's Watch Dogs Legion Bloodline. I haven't played Legion, but I played Watch Dogs 1 and 2. They keep bringing my boy Aiden Pierce back from the dead because there's some sort of value to him as a character, it seems. Like you said, Riders Republic looks cool. I don't care about the Avatar game whatsoever. Like, I didn't care about the movie. It could be a great game. I don't have that much time in my life anymore to just pick up games because they're there, and Avatar as a franchise doesn't interest me. Hard pass there. There was the like you said, we've talked enough about Extraction. It looked cool. I have no interest there. Another co-op PvE objective-based game. No need for that. Rainbow Six Siege. They added the character Thunderbird. The short film North Star, which I think is kind of funny considering Apex had their Tales from the Outlands North Star at the start of the season, but I guess purely coincidence that this happens. And then, of course, Ubisoft had the showing off their film and TV shows, and this is what I wanted to get to before, because you mentioned Ryan Reynolds showing off his movie. I think that film, even though like Ubisoft has the ability to make these things, like they clearly have these studios, or as a company they can produce this content. I don't want it near video games if I sound like an old man yelling at clouds when it comes to my video games, because there is some kind of inherent connection between these two media. Still, that's just me. I had no interest in hearing about Mythic Quest or Werewolves Within on Apple Plus, whatever. I just think it had nothing to do with this. It's an Ubisoft production, but it could have been advertised elsewhere. Apart from that, like, nothing here really. Like, there's Far Cry 6. Again, it's a good-looking game. Soft, maybe, on that one. Like, not to say I'd pass, but I haven't played a Far Cry yet, and even if I miss playing this one, I don't think I'll really miss anything. And Callie says no need for Extraction because Frontier Defense and Titanfall 2. There we go. We have a co-op PvE already to play until the end of time. But yeah, the whole event, it was good. In terms of content to consume, it was well put together. Minimal cringe presser, but nothing here really grabbed me.
All right, fair enough. We can move on to the next presser, which was
Devolver Digital.
I can't say what that does sound too bad for Mr. Kelly's ears, but Devolver Digital, man, this was entertaining. This was, and I've been a man in the past who, I can admit when I'm wrong, I've been very harsh on indie games in the past. I think I've been a bit of a stickler for shiny graphics. But I think as I'm getting older, I could appreciate uniqueness more and more. And I think you did see a lot of uniqueness in Devolver Digital's games at the show. Like Death's Door was pretty good to me. There's a game that we had a conversation before we chat. I swear it was in this press conference. They were telling me it was the Xbox. So I would left that out. But check to Nwumi or whatever that name is. Yomi. The sequel to Ghost of Tsushima looked pretty fire.
Unofficial.
And also there was Shadow Warrior 3. But enough about me. Let me let the true Devolver Digital champion, Mr. Zacchariah, break down this conference.
Wow, I'm flattered. Yeah, there was a lot of focus because Devolver, understandably, because they are a smaller publisher and their games might not take up as much time, both as games themselves and in what they can show you. They really do a very good job of just making their whole presser so funny and interesting. And this was, of course, about the Devolver Max Pass Plus, the live service where you can play games that you already own and you can pay for things that you're not going to get. But yeah, so we saw there. I have a list of games here. These are the ones that I recall.
You mean the best value in gaming?
The best value in game, 100% best value. 10 out of 10, best value. But I have the list of games here. We had Wizard with a Gun, which was like a magic space western. I remember because we only basically saw like cinematic stuff, but I was getting like Trigun vibes, but with magic based on the aesthetic. It looks cool, but I don't know what to expect about it. Trek to Yomi, like you said, it's like a side scroller noir samurai action game that grabbed me immediately. That's one of my highlighted games. Phantom Abyss, like a first person platformer where you follow the ghosts of the people who failed before you. They called it an asynchronous multiplayer game. So I thought that was fucking cool. I love platformers. I love first person platformers because that's what Mirror's Edge is, and I will swear by Mirror's Edge. Um, and there's Death's Door, which looked cool, but didn't grab me like those other two did. And then there was Inscription, which I know Nero said that he was very interested in, the card game.
Mhm.
But
Yep,
yeah,
Hearthstone,
Devolver,
3, baby.
yeah, Devolver did. I was hoping to see something Hotline Miami related, but I think it's basically been confirmed that that series is done, and I think every good thing must come to an end, so I won't complain. But yeah, Devolver did a fantastic job with the skits. I can't even like try to quote or to quote or replicate parts of the skits here because they do it in a way that's so uniquely them. It's just Chili Dogs and Nina Struthers, and Devolver is amazing, and that's my impression of Devolver's
Well,
showcase.
I want to ask a question to you, especially, and also to Nero. Why is it
Mm.
that Devolver Digital, they go over the top, but it's somehow very funny? Like I like the one with the hot dog when the guy was stealing off
The Chili
the
Dogs.
chili dogs, and I was like, how many doesn't realize this guy is doing it? He was pushing his luck. But how come
Hmm.
is it that Devolver Digital, a very small company, can
Hmm.
do these skits and they're very funny? And I do think a lot of people do find them funny. I don't think it's just us. But
Hmm.
why is it that these other companies they seem very cringy? And you would think Devolver would seem cringy for going over the top. Is it that Devolver owns the madness, or is it that they're just very good at it? What do you think causes that?
I think it's to do with our impression of Devolver is because they are an indie company. There are two facets to it. The first one is because our own internalized impression of Devolver. Devolver is the small indie company. They can get away with doing silly little things and it seem more genuine. Whereas if like a big company like Ubisoft were to put on a little skits, you'd be like, oh, this is like I talk about Ubisoft's canned chatter in their games, like when they especially do the Tom Clancy games. I forgot to mention the fact that we're just gonna start putting Tom Clancy as a qualifier in every Ubisoft game from now on. But in their Tom Clancy games, like in Division and Rainbow Six and Ghost Recon, they have like this canned chatter, and it seems really cheesy and really cringy. Or when they make jokes at pressers, I think our impression of Devolver is, well, it's more like them to be that way, so it's almost expected and it's almost accepted. Like you were willing to give them that kind of leeway. But I think too, there is a genuine there is a genuine nature to them doing this kind of stuff, because like Ubisoft is a company, Bethesda is a company, and Devolver is a company too. But them as a company that really pushes a lot of indie games, it publishes a lot of indie games. There is a genuine artistic nature to what they do. So something you can tell there is a genuine joy and love in making these games. And I'm not saying these other companies don't do it, but I think it couples with our own impression of Devolver. Like it's both because it's them and because we know it's them. That's why I think Devolver can get away with doing like little skits and things that might seem a little over the top, and then it could just be the skills of their actors.
Yeah, I
The
was
actor
gonna say
that
that.
plays Nina Struthers. Yeah. Well, you can elaborate better than I can, but I will say like the skill of the actress that plays Nina, for example. There's a reason why she's been brought back 4 years in a row now. But yeah,
Nero.
that's what
I
I think.
wasn't. I wasn't really gonna elaborate. I was just gonna say that the other thing too is that they have actors, people that
Hmm.
you know act for a living, so they can be cringy or they can not be cringy, depending on how they want to perceive themselves. So
They're professionals.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like how when you bring Keanu Reeves out on stage for Cyberpunk, and it's like he wasn't saying much, but just like, yeah, I'm
He
just
has that
talking.
presence. Yeah, he
You're
has that presence.
breathtaking. Like
You're
like anyone else says that, oh, that's so
It's
real
weird. Like,
bad.
yeah, don't make Phil
Yeah,
Spencer say that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
he's
you
he's
know,
any for the cheese steak, man. We're talking one guy there.
Fair enough.
All right. And so, but Nero, what were your highlights for Devolver Digital? I know you're a fan of their games as well. What was that
I'm actually
highlight game for you?
I'm actually a big fan of indie games, to be honest. Like I want to say they're my favorite games, but I play a lot of indie games, mainly for the fact that computer can't play much, so is what runs, and they're usually very unique, right? I I would say my standout from Devolver, I want to say Inscription, just because I like card games and it's a horror card game.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really interesting concept.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Track to Yomi is like my second favorite, if anything. Wait, no, what am I talking about? Demon Throttle is the main one. Demon Throttle is the best thing they showed.
Wait, I didn't. I don't have
That
Demon Throttle here.
kicked my wife.
David Trotter is the
Oh yes.
the like
Oh,
Or
that
something.
yeah, the shooter, yeah. What's the shooter kind of get yo?
Literally lines on the level of what's the one for Castlevania? I can't remember what it is now.
You take like a
Die, monster! You don't belong in
Yeah,
this world.
yo,
that's
yo,
amazing.
just give me something else, like real.
The gameplay is very Contra-esque, that kind of top-down, steadily moving kind of. I'm looking at it now, the Demon Throttle trailer. Yeah, the gameplay seems very Contra-esque. That filter it has on it, it's very, very.
But anyway, Inscription is my
overwhelming.
favorite thing from there, to be honest.
Excuse me. Oh, there we go. I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But Inscription's cool, Death Door's cool, etc., etc. We can go.
Yeah.
We can move on.
All right. Guys, there was a show after this.
There was? Continue. I'm being a hater. I'm the one being a hater now.
I think this company is called Gearbox, but I call it I got Trashcan, man, because
They're not that bad.
Look, I have a serious issue with this stuff. I didn't make jokes at Randy Pitcher, kind of Randy Scamford, and I do appreciate Randy. You know what I mean? I don't let we deal with the employees recently, but he has a certain charm and uniqueness to him. But Randy, you had your own press conference. You showed off a game on Jeff Keighley's show. And then you had your own press conference. And my man, you brought the same trailer and no additional gameplay, not even an additional CGI.
You assume they had more. That's the thing. You assume that there was more to bring.
To be honest, the press conference was mainly for the movie, to be honest.
It was, and that touches my point, and that's frustrating.
And that's my problem.
Yeah.
If you wanted to go and do, say, hey guys, we're going to do a showcase in the movie. Like, I'm not the biggest Borderlands fan. I only play 2. I enjoy 2. I would probably check it out. I do have some issues with the cast, but I probably would have said, you know what, get your benefit of the doubt. I don't get why you go in E3 time to show off a movie rather than a video game. You have upcoming video games. There's also some old space game. What the game was there that was coming across all the time?
Homeworld 3.
Homeworld 2 won Game of the Year in 1999. I was like, okay, cool. Was it? I didn't even know Homeworld 2 looked like our one or whatever it was highlighting. You try to tell me that you couldn't even show an image, a little bit of.
They showed a logo.
A logo.
Multiple times.
Nah, this was not acceptable, man. This was not acceptable at all. I think if you look, I always say, look, I believe you should do something if you have merit. I think having this just to me having a press conference sake, and I think it was a waste of time. Nah, man. I mean, you could have some Borderlands updates or something. Nothing. I want to see what Tiny Tina's Wonderland will be. I mean, not even an ounce of gameplay, not even a trailer. He did a little bit of talking, but nothing. Come on, man. Nah. Zacchariah, go ahead, because you streamed it I watched you streamed it, and I think you individually actually watched it to the end because one, I like your content, and two, I was supporting you. Otherwise, I would have cut it off myself. But
I appreciate that.
What were your thoughts, man?
Yeah, no, I agree with you here. That the fact that it was just, hey, let's talk about the Borderlands movie with the cast being what it is. I won't talk about that here. And yeah, they showed off Tiny Tina's Wonderland. It was the same exact trailer they showed at Summer Game Fest. I had seen that trailer since Friday, so nothing new there. They popped in little details and little snippets about Homeworld 3. This is the first time I've heard of Homeworld as a franchise. I mentioned this on stream. It's like when I first heard of XCOM a couple years ago when XCOM 2 came out. Nothing to grab me. And then they had this game, this Viking game, this 10-player online Viking game, Tribes of Midgard. And I was like, listen, if I have 9 other friends who are online, I'll play Among Us with them. I don't feel like playing this, whatever this is meant to be. Nothing here really grabbed me. This is another one of my pressers that I have nothing highlighted. I was hoping to see something with Borderlands as in a game. Like they had gameplay footage of Borderlands 3 because you saw like Moze and Flack and Zane and Amara. But they were just talking about the movie. And I'm really not that interested about the movie. So it's like, yeah, you know what? It was weak. It was weak. Like this is nothing against, like you said, they're having a presser for the sake of it. They clearly maybe they had the trailer for Tiny Tina's Wonderland and that's all they had. You're like, well, we showed it at Summer Game Fest. We're gonna show it because this is our presser, and we want to talk about the movie because we have mentioned, it's E3, it's about games, but like how much money has Gearbox put into the movie? So they clearly want some return on their investment, so they're gonna push it, But yeah, it was weak. It was weak.
All right. Mr. Nero, what were your thoughts on this press conference?
Yeah, it was rather dry. To be honest. Real dry. Like I understand the reason for the pushing the movie hard because I mean technically it is a video game. Sorry, not technically. It is a video game
It's a
movie.
video game movie, yeah.
So it is tied to video games, but
It's relevant, but it was out of place.
Yeah, it didn't really need to happen. They could have put Tribes and what was the other game? Well,
there was Homeworld.
They had that was it. So whatever, but they could have put Tribes out as a trailer, and they could even done like the little interview thing for the movie wasn't like super long, but they could have done that like a video. I made like hey, here's a little behind the scenes talking to the people of the movie, yada yada. You know what I mean? And, like that's a whole separate thing, but it is what it is. It was just dry.
I can ask a question before we move on. What is Homeworld? Like, what kind of game is it? Is it FPS? Is it
That's a good question.
I think it's an RTS, a real-time strategy. I think it is.
Okay.
Because I mentioned something about, so was there like Homeworld before StarCraft? I think it's an RTS.
Yeah, I remember something. Well, StarCraft.
Real-time strategy video game. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, Homeworld 3 is an upcoming real-time strategy video game currently being developed. That's it.
So this is juice. So that juice the need for speed. Okay, I understand. All right. Moving right along. On Sunday, this was the big presser that we were all waiting for.
Yep.
Xbox, man. Xbox presser, man. I don't hide my preferences. I always said I go with PC and PlayStation, and I always said that I want those two platforms to do well. But as I got older, I began to get appreciation for Xbox. And in the last generation, Xbox had taken a big beating. And at first it was a cool joke, yeah, fun, woohoo. But I began to get worried for Xbox because competition is good, and once there's no competition, it leads to arrogance. And we are saying arrogant Sony, and arrogant Sony is not a good Sony. So I was really hoping that Microsoft would come out swinging and push back. Today, I'll be honest, I was pleasantly surprised. I was impressed. Well, I wasn't surprised. I was impressed with what happened today. It was to me one of their best conferences in a very long time. The show had very good PSN, and that's one of my biggest issues with Microsoft pressers over the last like 6-7 years. The PSN has been dreadful. A bunch of yappity. Come on. I think today was actually the start of what Microsoft should continue doing. It was games. A brief introduction, games. A little talk, games. And I really enjoyed the show. I think the only criticism that you can have of the show was maybe some more gameplay could have been showed. I got come out hard on Todd. Sorry, Todd, you big up Starfield, but you didn't really show off what it is. But it's coming out next year. I get people were get a bit anxious, so I think Tom came out and just quiet down the audience a little bit. but I would like to see a little bit more of what Starfield is. We also show off a game called what is Contraband. I think that was a
Yeah, Contraband.
waste of space. But otherwise, I think a lot of the trailers are pretty good. And even if they didn't have gameplay, they actually kind of showed what the game was about. So I think it was one of Microsoft's best shows in a very, very long time. I think this is my best shows. I think you probably got the 360 era to get a show that you could probably compare to this one. And I think that's it's pretty good. I hope Microsoft can keep it up, man. Um,
Mhm.
Before I let the guys speak, I just want to highlight um, one or two projects that I really really like from Microsoft. Um, we gotta talk about this game, man. This is a game that I've heard a lot about, but I never had a PC at the time that could run it. But Stalker 2 looks pretty good. Oh my god, learn some Russian. I don't know I can learn Russian between now and next year. Hopefully the actual English dub is pretty good. Begging you, but it looks pretty interesting. Um, going into the zone is something that always fascinated me and seeing it updated, great visuals. The gunplay looks rather improved. Um, the story looks to be a bit more better told than this one. I'm very excited for this game. I'm also very excited for Atomic Heart. That game looks very good. This is a game that I've been monitoring for a long time. Now this is a multi-plat, but it's coming to Game Pass Day One, which is a big win for Microsoft. But to me, Atomic Heart looks really, really good, man. It's something new, something fresh. We never really seen something in that era from the Soviet side, especially on a grand scale. And Atomic Heart looks very good. So I have high expectations for Atomic Heart, even though it's a multi-plat. I'm very impressed by that. Halo multiplayer. I'm not the biggest Halo fan, never was, but the multiplayer does look pretty good. I wish they would show the campaign off, but I was impressed. Also, the multiplayer is free to play. Excuse me. So
Mhm.
that was pretty good. They showed off some Battlefield gameplay, and I let the guys talk about loop it back around to the end. I was impressed with the gameplay I was showing today. I think they should have done that on Thursday, in my opinion, but that's that. And Forza Motorsport 5. Woo!
Maybe like that
Woo!
one.
Woo! So I leave it open, man. Who want to jump in? Nero,
Nero,
Zacchariah.
you go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I liked it a lot, honestly. Like a lot of games they showed, liked them a lot. Let me see. Let's see. Halo multiplayer was pretty good. Like that whole Halo thing. I didn't really care about the campaign part of it. I was like, whatever. But the multiplayer thing, the fact that they are doing it free. Um, actually, look back to the Battlefield thing. You know how you were saying that you don't feel you get any value out of it because it's just a multiplayer.
Mhm,
You could have even done it like how Halo did it, which is have a campaign separate and then multiplayer free, if anything.
mhm.
But then again, I don't know if that worked then because they're. I mean, unless they have a really good campaign, yeah,
I mean, I
Mm.
think for Battlefield, it's never been known for the campaign. Well, Halo, you could argue Halo
yeah.
1's campaign was amazing. Halo 2 had a great campaign, and it was a bit weak. And Halo 3 was a pinnacly franchise. So,
All right, anyway, so there goes my
but
idea.
we finish. No, but we finish. I will look back to that. But go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me just run through them quick. Stalker looks pretty sick. Like I actually know nothing of Stalker. I've heard like rumblings, but I never actually seen anything of it. So what they showed up actually looked really, really interesting. Not even gonna talk about contraband. There's nothing to talk about. Sea of Thieves putting in Jack Sparrow. That's great. I don't watch Pirates of the Caribbean that often, but get some more people in there. That's great. Yeah. Uh,
Oh,
love the gameplay on Battlefield.
Justin, sorry about
Let's see here. I I mean, okay, I already talked about how much I love Hades. I think, but
Run it
I'm
again.
glad that
Nero, run it again. Run the love for Hades again. Run it again, man. Run it again. Don't be shy.
Hades is great. I love it, and I'm happy that it did show off in the Xbox presser because I didn't know it was even coming to console at the time. I knew it was gonna come to console eventually, But I'm glad that they showed it off here because I'm like, Hades coming to console. What? I'm happy. So that's
Party. I said party.
party indeed.
Time to start a
Uh,
fire.
Diablo look interesting. Atomic Heart looks really really interesting.
Show me
Again,
some.
I didn't know anything about it, so that really piqued my interest. Replace. Oh boy, that
Oh
music,
boy.
that pixel art
Yeah,
style,
yeah, that is
the
amazing.
whole shebang. It was pretty nice. Kind of up my alley too in terms of how like it looks indie game ish, like indie game style, but kind of triple A and how indie style of it, if I can say that correctly. But it looks really good. I would love to get my hands on that. And I think the last thing that I think I had a pretty that I liked a lot was the was how do you pronounce it? Euden Chronicle, the RPG.
I have no
The one
idea.
that looks
I
like
think it's Eoden.
I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about, but yeah, but yeah.
looks very very actually it doesn't look like Final Fantasy. It looks like that game that came on Switch, Octopath,
Yeah.
Mm.
right? But less chibi Final Fantasy style.
Mm.
And it really feels like the developer, I think is developer is Rabbit and Beer Studios, published by 505. It really looks like they took a page out of Octopath's book and really amped it up. Because there's this one shot where the archer was pulling the bow, and you literally see like this beautiful 2D sprite work zoom, like you see him pull the bow and it zooms past him, like focusing on the arrow into the 2D artwork thing. It looks really really good. I think it's gonna. I think it's gonna PS4. Yes, it is gonna PS4. So I'm gonna get that when it comes out.
Yay!
Whenever it comes out, it's coming out a long time from now.
Mm. I think
But
like 2022.
Wait, so I have a question. It was two games. There's one that was 2022 and one was 2023. If I'm correct.
2022, funny enough, I think is Euden Chronicle 100 Heroes, which is what they showed off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
That's
Rising is
coming.
the next one.
That's coming 2023.
What?
Rising, which is the spin-off, is coming 2022, which is weird. But I think Rising looked like a. What is it? I think Rising looked like a side scroller. Seems
Mm.
like a side scroller action game. Because I saw combos in there that, look pretty cool. Let me see. Yeah, looks like a side scroller. So I guess I'm gonna assume that Rising is gonna be following either a character or characters that will lead into the actual RPG.
Mm.
I got a feeling.
Okay. Fair. You would know better than me for sure.
Mm. But yeah, I don't know. As well, it's pretty good press conference. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, and before I got to my boy Zacchariah. Another game that is a smaller title, but it looks pretty good to me is The Ascent. I think is a smaller title, but it looks
Oh
really
yeah.
good. So I think
Oh
Xbox
yeah, I
One
did look.
they had a pretty nice show today. But Mr.
Let's see
Zacchariah,
that.
before we go on, Mr. Kelly, we got a game for you. Slime Rancher 2. All right, Mr. Zacchariah, take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Xbox had a hell of a strong presser today, but I think that does today, Sunday the 13th, but I think that has a lot to do with the fact that they were coupled with Bethesda. So rather than take two middling to okay pressers, they put them together and got two really strong ones. So I was really happy with what we ended up with in terms of the Xbox Bethesda presser. But like I said, we had Starfield. Todd Howard came on, talked about 4 times. No, he didn't talk about that. But he came on and he gave a little introduction to Starfield. That's fine. And they talked about Stalker 2. I had heard about Stalker. I had heard about the Stalker franchise, watching a YouTuber, and they mentioned the game, and I looked into it. It's like, okay, this looks pretty good. I mistakenly called Stalker 2 today on stream a remake because there were two Stalker games, but this is a brand new game to be called Stalker 2. I guess a sequel to the other games that were released.
So,
Looks good.
so let me
I'm
clarify. So let me
getting
clarify. So it was Stalker, and then there was Stalker, Call for Chernobyl or something. What was it?
something like that. Yeah, the word Chernobyl was definitely in either the first or the second, but there were previous Stalker games. I was mistaken, but I'm getting like Metro vibes because you were mentioning along with what was it, Atomic Heart. You were mentioning this kind of old Soviet setting. It seems like that's a thing that's really coming back now with Metro and Stalker, and that seems to be one of those motifs that's commonplace that I've been mentioning. Like vampires are a thing now, and Norse mythology now. It seems like an old Soviet setting, but it looks good. Gunplay looks good. The setting looks amazing. I'm not one to play like horror shooters. There are definitely horror elements to it. Same thing with Metro, but you know, if I had the chance, I'd give it a shot. As far as I know, it's an open world game. Back 4 Blood, don't care. Never played Left 4 Dead. Completely gone past me. They had their own, I think, like WB presser today or showcase. Do not care. This is nothing against them. Doesn't appeal to me. Contraband. I like teasers. I like trailers. I know people might not agree, but I love something that can give me a good idea of what your game is, even if it's not just a game. If it's a game, it's a movie, it's a show. I love teasers that really pull me into what you're trying to give me. I got nothing from this. I have no idea what it's about. I have no idea what kind of setting it is. I have no idea what kind of motifs and themes are in it. I got nothing from Contraband. So all I can do is hope for more in the future. It would be unfair of me to give it any kind of grade because I don't know what to expect. Sea of Thieves, A Pirate's Life. I never watched any of the Pirates of the Caribbean's movies. None of them. I never played Sea of Thieves. I love the art style. It looks amazing and vibrant and fun. I'd probably play it based on that, but not because it has Jack Sparrow, and not because they gave Disney money. Atomic Heart looks... Sorry, yeah.
No, I think if I thought Sea of Thieves, I pretend I drop in sleep. Like a bad whistling noise.
No. I'm going to mention Atomic Heart so you can wake up now.
Zacchariah, not cut you, but briefly. The first I heard was Shadow of Chernobyl. There was Clear Skies, and then it was called a Pripyat. So Clear Sky was a prequel, and Pripyat was a sequel.
Thank you. There you go. So there's 3 Stalker games up until now then.
But Stalker 2 is
okay, cool.
Official.
Stalker 2 is an official. It's like when they went GTA 3, Vice City, San Andreas, then came out with 4. I got you. But yeah, Atomic Heart, I fucking love the trailer. It looks batshit as hell. I was getting like Eurobeat, bootleg, Ghost in the Shell, Half-Life vibes from it. I want to play whatever the hell that is.
Also old lady with ladle.
Oh, just getting killed by babushka with ladle.
Is she?
But I'm gonna get to my highlight at the end because it really stuck with me. So from Atomic Heart, there was Slime Rancher. I never played a Slime Rancher. I know Callie likes to play Slime Rancher. I've always been intrigued, but I didn't know what it was. But it looks fun. Whatever. It looks like one of those, like, to me, like Minecraft. One of those games I could just turn my brain off and just grind and like not be bothered. And there was the Halo Infinite stuff. I've never played any of the campaigns in a Halo game. I've played like Halo CE multiplayer for like 20 minutes. I wouldn't, but the fact that they're making the multiplayer for Halo Infinite free to play, y'all have touched on it. It's awesome. I can actually try it. If I can get a computer this year, if I can build a PC this year that can run it, I'd love to give it a try because, you know, it's Halo. It's a pinnacle of online multiplayer gaming. It helps shape what online multiplayer is to this day. So even though I'm getting in late, I'd love to give it a shot. So there's that. There was Grounded, their Shroom and Doom update. I've never played Grounded, but again, I was getting, as a game, I get kind of like Minecraft, build and survive kind of vibes, but this, I think Grounded is linchpin to the fact that it's meant to be a multiplayer kind of thing. I prefer single player experiences in games like that. Among Us update, y'all really don't care. I love Among Us. If I had 9 friends, well, there's the 2 of us, but I guess the problem is that there's only the 2 of us. Especially now with the update, you have like 15 player lobbies. If we had like 9 to 14 friends, Among Us would be great. Best played with friends, but you know, it's like us and who else, you know? But yeah, it's a shame because I think it's a really fun game. Uden Chronicle, it completely bypassed me. I've never been a JRPG guy, but I'm sorry that I'm rushing through this, but there was actually so much at the Xbox presser that I really have to say, this is a game, this is what I saw, yay or nay. That's essentially... Because like there was Age of Empires, never played one. It's another RTS, not my bag. The Ascent looks, it reminds me of Ruiner. Ruiner is another one of those games, one of those cyberpunk like beat 'em up games, kind of like Hotline Miami. But like I said, it's cyberpunk and not just like synthwave retro noir. And it had that kind of same isometric perspective that Ascent has. It seems like a multiplayer or co-op ruiner. So I'll definitely be checking into Ascent. Then there was I was surprised at this Flight Simulator with the Top Gun Maverick integration coming to Xbox. Flight Simulator is really resource intensive. I'm talking like you might need a Threadripper and a 3090 in order to run this game. So it coming to a console really not worries me.
You're not getting ultra settings on console.
Yeah, like people's Xbox Series X is going to start like exploding from running Flight Sim because I believe it's like a 1-to-1 representation of the planet.
Yeah.
Which is nuts.
Coming to the Xbox One or the One X because I don't know how that would have panned out.
Fair. Well,
but even still, even these newer consoles, I don't know. I would reserve judgment.
There's no judgment there. It's just I'm very. Callie says he has yet to play Among Us. It's great, but you need to play with friends. But yeah, no, I was just surprised to see Flight Simulator. But it is what it is. I understand its significance as a flight simulator. You have people building entire sim cockpits in their living room for flight sim, so it's a serious thing. So if people want to play it on console, there's that. Forza Horizon 5, I'm a Gran Turismo guy. You mentioned like the whole being a fan of a certain console. I grew up with PlayStation and Nintendo. Xbox was never really my thing, but I appreciate the value of Forza because it exists as the Xbox alternative to people who played Gran Turismo as a racing simulator. Even though Horizon is meant to be like its more arcadey cousin, I think, if I'm correct. But yeah, but I appreciate for what it is. I love the AMG car that they showed in the game, the Forza edition of that AMG car. Looks cool. I wouldn't play it because I probably wouldn't get an Xbox. A lot of these games I'd probably just play on PC when possible. But there was Redfall, that like co-op vampire game. A lot of co-op games this year I noticed. Like they're really pushing like single player co-op games because you had Redfall, you had Grounded, which was highlighted with the update. You had Rainbow Six Extraction. You had the Ascent. Like a lot of co-op going on this year, and I really don't recall ever seeing co-ops pushed so hard. But everyone's stuck at home, so play with friends. That's actually, I didn't even realize that makes perfect sense. Everyone's stuck at home.
Even again, you're seeing some easing up in the global malware as from what it's called. I think people are still gonna be very cautious for a while. So I think these games will do well for the next 2-3 years easy. So.
And I think that a lot of people, exactly, and I think a lot of people, in the year spent at home, they have got back into gaming. So even if their life goes on as normal, they can get back into things they probably would not have done before 2020. He's like, oh, okay, well, I got into playing video games. A lot of people got into streaming, et cetera, et cetera. Diablo 2, don't like dungeon crawlers. It is what it is. I see its value. Yeah. A Plague Tale Requiem. I didn't play the first A Plague Tale, but it was recommended by our friend Nobot, who also streams on Twitch. It was recommended to me. Shout out to Nobot. Recommended to me by my boss. He had seen the trailer and was like, "Hey, you should try A Plague Tale." But I saw this, and at first I thought it was going to be like Dishonored or something because the setting and some of the scenes in the trailer. But A Plague Tale Requiem looks interesting. I'll give it a maybe. I wouldn't say like a hard yes, but I wouldn't say a soft yes, like because there's definitely a desire to play it there. Okay. But I wanted to get. I say this for the last talking about the Bethesda Xbox presser replaced. I only have a very cursory impression of replaced, but my God, it looks amazing. I'm getting similar vibes to what I got when I first saw the. Sorry?
So no Redfall?
I like Redfall, but I'm not too fond of vampires.
No, I remember we had a discussion about the cringe, so that way
it was cringy, but cringy voice acting aside, it looked like a fun game. But
replace it. Go ahead.
But I haven't recalled feeling this excited about a game, and I think this shows how kind of predictable I am in my tastes. Since like Hotline Miami and Hotline Miami 2, I saw the trailers and I'm like, I need to play that game. Oh, Hotline Miami 2, Echo, Hellblade. There are certain games I see them, like I need to play these games because something about whether it's the gameplay or the story or the setting or the aesthetic or the theming, it looks fucking gorgeous. The music sounds incredible. Whatever Replaced is, I want to play that. I am very, very excited for Replaced. I think it said it's coming in 2022. Whenever it gets here, I want to play it. Like if you whoever's listening, if you have a chance, I'm probably overselling it. Watch the Replace trailer. It's very short and it's very to the point, but it looks beautiful. But yeah, all in all, I think Xbox and Bethesda had a very hefty presser in terms of we'll get to the awards and I'll probably more divulge into if like how I think how grade it, but it was definitely full of content. I do want to mention what you're talking about, how Xbox a plus Xbox had with their presser is the fact that they just like gameplay. Here's some game, a little bit of talking. Here's a game. Here's a game. But I think that has a lot to do with the fact, and you were mentioning that you'd like to see it work that way in the future. But the problem is, in the future, maybe as soon as next year, we might start seeing crowds again. I think a big part of the reason why they didn't have people talking and just talking heads and executives coming on stage and actors and Aisha Tyler. I think why a lot of these companies didn't have that is because there was no audience. There was no one to, because a lot of these live performances, essentially what they're being, play on the fact that you need an audience. And this is me as a wrestling fan, with wrestling not having an audience for the past year. There is definitely a difference. So they're like, well, shit, we have 2 hours to fill. We better fill it with something that can work. So I think that studios and publishers and companies should stick to this formula as well. But I'm not so optimistic that we'll see it look that way in the future. But nonetheless, I do appreciate the kind of presser. I do appreciate this presser today. It was good. It was loaded and there was quality to it.
One thing you said about the crows, when you said wrestling, I agree.
Mhm.
I can't watch. I honestly, I can't watch wrestling right now with no crowd.
Mhm.
Football, I remember the Euro started. I seeing fans of the crowd keeping noise reminded me of how much I miss the crowd. Um, I can honestly E3. I kind of prefer the crowd not to be there. I mean,
Me too.
I think the only way you could do it is like remember when Sony did a couple years ago where they had when the trailers came out they had like an actual orchestra playing the music so you
Mhm.
keep the actual crowd entertained while you're watching the trailers at home. Maybe something
Yeah.
like that could work, but I really don't want the old talking head nonsense personally. But I do agree with your point that I think from when crowds come back, it could probably revert back to the old
What it
days.
used to be.
The old
Yeah.
days. Let's leave it at that. Um,
I'll just say a couple things before you move on.
go ahead.
I was going to mention the wrestling thing. This is off topic. I didn't want to bring it up. That there is some wrestling that works without crowds, but that is a very rare circumstance. But yes, please bring back crowds. Yeah, this works. What in terms of E3, this works. But yes, go ahead. Sorry.
All right. And then we had our final press conference of today that we will focus on. I know this is a PC gamer show. I took a bit of a look at it. I saw some games that didn't look too bad, but
Mm.
I think with the time constraint that the guys have, we would probably, if I don't know when E3 is all wrapped up, if we will come back and take a look at that later on. Also, depending on what Sony does, if Sony announces something, well, let's say they announce this week coming out, they'll do something the following week. Let Sony do their show, and then we could do an all overall recap on awards. This is our early awards ceremony.
Mm.
Um, but I won't really bore the PC Gamer show. I don't know if it's still going on or not. And plus, I know the guys have work and stuff tomorrow, so I didn't want to keep everyone. I don't want to push this podcast until later in the night. So if anything happens PC Gamer show, we do it next week or the week after, depending on our schedules. So we
Cool.
conclude with screenings.
Ween it.
I honestly, you man. After you hear the Xbox conference, I wasn't expecting something to that level, but I was still expecting something pretty good. And I can't say that I was fulfilled. It was the Square Enix conference today. I mean, they showed off BTEC Guardians of the Galaxy. I know I've always,
Mhm.
I know me and Zacchariah have always got this argument a lot of times in the past. Nearer to an extent, but especially me and Zacchariah, we argue this back and forth. I've always said, in terms of the Avengers games, I've always said, get the actors for the movie. I know it costs money, but get these men. And they've always argued with me, man, Darian, it's gonna cost money, it can cost this. I said to me, oh, that's uncanny. I think today we saw why I have my opinion on that. I think you can see Mr. Drax over here if you're watching it live.
He does look wrong. He just looks incorrect.
But hey, man, that's what Drax usually looks like in the comics, at least. Not usually, but something pretty close to that.
It's an interpretation of him. It's a perfectly valid interpretation of him.
Honestly, in my opinion, everyone.
Let me land.
You do.
Star-Lord. With the mask on this picture I have here, I actually like him. He's different from the movies, but I do like him here with the mask on. When the mask comes off, though, it's a different story.
Keep the mask on, boy.
This man looks like a douchebag. He hears high up in the ear. I keep telling people the only character to rock.
Star-Lord is a douche, though. It's a very faithful representation. If that's your impression.
I mean, there's a cool douche, and then there's a douchey douche. You get what I'm saying?
There's a douche. Gotcha. Douche plus. Gotcha.
You remember, like, it's like Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
Jordan was a douchebag, but you love Jordan.
Yep. I'll agree to disagree there, but continue.
All right, but this guy, I can't. I don't know. I actually like Group though, and they do like Rocket, and I think they do it pretty cool. But my lady over here, she not too bad. But I have a major concern with Drax and Star-Lord, man. I still think the design wasn't up to snuff. The gameplay, the word traversal was pretty nice, but to me the combat looked weak. I always thought a Star-Lord game would look like Mass Effect Andromeda, and you could talk all you want about the facial animations, the poor story. Watch Andromeda's gameplay. Beautiful, fast-paced, zoom. And that's what I always wanted from a Star-Lord game, or Guardian of the Galaxy, whatever you want to phrase it as. And I didn't get that today. No, that's the first thing we saw. I am willing to see if we get more gameplay if they've tightened it up. And I think, and it's coming out this year. I honestly was hoping that when I saw the gameplay, I was hoping, tell me this is 2022, give us some time to tweak it. But it's such a short release time. I don't know. I am still. I'll wait and see. I'll put it as a wait and see. But I'm a bit disappointed in Guardian of the Galaxy. We have
understandable.
Babylon's Fall. Another game that I was hoping this would be Devil May Cry mixed with Nier or something. To me, the combat looked a bit slower than I would have liked. Graphics, it probably never known for good graphics, but it was a little. And to me, and I'm hearing it is a live service game. Nero updated me and said it's a live service game.
That's disappointing.
I would just leave it at that. And then we got this. I don't know if you guys can see what I have on stream right now. On the stream.
I'm looking.
Why does this game look like this?
Wait. Where'd you find that? Is that an actual PlayStation 2 box art?
No.
Did someone make that?
Someone made it.
What's that?
Man, people work fast as hell. People work so because you know why? It fucking fits. I believe for a second that was PS2 box art.
This is Stranger Paradise game, right?
Yeah.
I was totally disappointed in this.
We'll touch on that because
I heard all the rumors about this coming out to this game, and when I first saw the graphics, I was like, okay, whatever. But I was expecting, when I see Team Ninja, I was expecting some top-notch gameplay out this world. And I don't know if Team Ninja, if you took the money, I'm not a Dark Souls fan, right? But if you took the money from this to go make Nero 3, congratulations, you ran off on the plug. I salute you 110%. Mr. Zacchariah, you streamed the show. We had Norbert in the house. You also have Mr. Callie in the house. What were your thoughts, man?
Square Enix was a weird presser to me because I'll sum it up in one phrase. Hey guys, we have Final Fantasy and Nier. That was the Square Enix presser in a nutshell, because they had the Guardians of the Galaxy, and I at first thought it was going to be almost like a one-to-one game similar to the Avengers. I thought it was going to be a co-op kind of thing because it's the Guardians, but it turns out it is a single-player game. You control Star-Lord, and basically the other members are your companions.
Mhm.
So you did mention we saw some gameplay. There was some combat. I didn't hate it. It was, just action-based combat. I think the pace has to do with the fact that you kind of have to juggle your companions. You have to juggle the other members. So you're fighting is like, okay, Drax, you go here. Gamora, you go here. Rocket, you do this. You can like tag team with them. So I didn't hate it. I understood that the combat is the way it is for a reason. I want to touch on what you mentioned about what you said in terms of if you're going to do these Marvel games, you have to get the cast. I have disagreed with this before, and I'll say it's not just because of the money, but you don't want that your games have to rely on the precedent set by the movies. You want your games to exist as their own media. And I know it's really hard, especially now, because the Marvel movies are so ubiquitous. But the fact that they're like Marvel animated shows means it's not impossible. There's a Guardians of the Galaxy show. There's an Avengers show. All the Spider-Man cartoons. You can have different versions of these characters that actually work. I think part of the problem, and this makes sense when you mentioned that you don't like Star-Lord's design, and I said I didn't like Drax's, is that what they've been trying to do is create that cinematic kind of experience. They've got this story with these characters, and it feels like it should be the movie, but if you were to make a Guardians or an Avenger game and you make it like hyper stylized and hyper animated, and you maybe gave it some, like you said, some fast paced gameplay, something to separate it from the movie, then I believe it can exist on its own. But I think what they're making with these games, they're too focused on polish. They're too focused on making these really good character models, these really good looking character models. It's like, hey, Drax looks really polished, and Rocket looks like Rocket does in the movies because Rocket is CG in the movies. Groot looks just like he does in the movies.
Then
you
I
have.
prefer this group to the movie group.
I don't mind. Groot is Groot. He's a sentient tree. I prefer Grover from Paladins, but that's just me. But they clearly were trying to capture something from the movies, which I think is part of the problem. It's like they were going halfway on being like the movies. It's like, no, you need to create an image, like an impression of this game that makes it strong enough. They should have done that with Avengers. They should have done that with this. And I think that's the weakness. Apart from that, I still think it's an okay game. Soft maybe for me on Guardians. But yeah, then we saw the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster, which was like Final Fantasies 1 through 6. I'm not very interested. Never played many JRPGs. Final Fantasy was... I tried to get into it back when I played the first Kingdom Hearts, but it lost me, so... and we saw like the roadmap for the Avengers games and the War for Wakanda, the Black Panther expansion. It looks cool. I love the way...
King Snow's like...
Huh?
Shout the King Snows. That's King Snows.
Shout out to King Snows and his love for Black Panther. Don't let him hear me say that. But I love the way the armor looked. That's the extent of it. It looks cool, but there was one thing here that I was excited about, and I don't know how to feel about now. Hitman Sniper. If I see anything Hitman related, I get excited. But then it has had nothing to do with Agent 47. And then I looked it up and I realized Hitman Sniper was a mobile game. This one is called Hitman Sniper: The Shadows. So I don't know what this is. I don't know if this is a mobile game. I don't know if this is a standalone game in the mobile game's title. But I'm starting to feel a little shaky on Hitman Sniper, and I'm a little worried about that because I wanted this to be the next Hitman, or maybe an expansion for Hitman 3 or something. Nier Reincarnation. I've just finished playing Nier Automata on stream. One of the 26 endings. Nier Replicant looks cool. I'll probably give that a shot. Nier Reincarnation is a mobile game, you said, right?
Yes, it is, unfortunately.
Well, then I don't think... I might give it a shot. My phone... I might need a new phone, but my phone could always use some games, but... Again...
That S20 Ultra, man. Come on, man.
This is a soft maybe. We had DLC for Final Fantasy 7. Whatever. I still have to play the game. Babylon's Fall.
That was DLC, or that was a mobile game?
Oh, I thought it was a DLC. I kind of was not paying attention during that. I saw Final Fantasy 7 and I gave up, so I don't know. So y'all have to tell me. Maybe Nero can correct me on that one.
I didn't see.
Okay.
I first with DLC, I saw some mobile, Android and iOS. I was like... Yeah.
Oh, okay, well then you're probably right. That's on me. I wasn't paying attention.
I don't blame you. Go ahead.
Babylon's Fall. Like I said, I just played Nier. I was excited for something from Platinum, and there were, I guess, some of the team talking about the game, and it seemed like they were trying to channel some of the Nier combat because they showed clips of fighting of combat in Nier, and I guess traversal, and how they tried to translate that into Babylon's Fall, but so far it hasn't really piqued my interest. Maybe if I see some more, but like I've said, I'm not into fantasy typically. I'm not really into JRPGs that much, so it's kind of an uphill battle against me at this point. Then we had Life is Strange. This is weird to me
Shout out to
because
Nobot, shout
we
out to Nobot.
Nobot. Yeah, shout out to Nobot because Nobot
Nobot, we
mentioned
love you,
this.
but go ahead.
No, because I asked this question and Nobot was kind enough to answer because he knows. If Life is Strange didn't feel old enough to get a remaster because it's only like what 5 or 6 years old, and Nobot said, yeah, it's not that old of a game. But for some reason, they're remastering, I guess, like the first 2 Life is Strange games and maybe whatever other expansions came with it. But when they did the little side swipe, the little wipe to show you the advancement in the remastered version, I saw no difference. There was like one scene where like a character was crying, and then when they showed the remastered, you could see her tears, but I saw no difference between the 2 versions, and this really felt like, wow, y'all are just making people pay for another game because you can. And I don't know how much.
To me, at best, it's like a color palette swap.
Yeah, it looked like they maybe resaturated the colors a bit. I have to take another look at it, and maybe some edges were a little smoother. Maybe they like added a few polygons. But Life is Strange is already so stylized that I feel like it didn't need that update. But then they showed the proper sequel, True Colors, which looks beautiful. It's a little more realistic looking. It definitely, if they did the remaster to look like what True Colors looks like, that would have been cool.
A slightly less impressive version.
Yeah, basically.
I understand it's a new
But
game, but we all get it. But to me, I just said it wasn't enough for me to be remastered.
it didn't make sense. Yeah, no. If you want to release it with maybe added content, the work that could have been done adding content could have gone into. Sorry, the work that could have been done making the remastered version could have been adding new content, maybe another expansion, something to make it worthwhile to people. But I guess they just wanted to resell the game. I don't think people will be getting free upgrades here. But True Colors, I'm not, I've never played Life is Strange, but it looks like an interesting game, an interesting story. It's one of those interactive narratives like we were talking about, similar to the Walking Dead games. So, maybe I'll give it a shot if that's the case. Yeah, Stranger of Paradise though. What the fuck is that? Let me just start off there. What the fuck? Because like you said, this is Team Ninja, and Team Ninja did Neo. And I haven't played Neo 2, but I love Neo, having not played a Souls game proper. It's very Souls-like. And whatever they were doing for this, it's apparent that Square Enix just said, yeah, we want a Final Fantasy game. Maybe they were working on a game. Maybe Ninja was working on a game and... Oh, hold on. Cotton just jumped on the desk.
Cotton.
She's going to walk all over the keyboard. But, maybe they were working on a game, and for some reason, Square intervenes like, we want something with the Final Fantasy name on it. And whatever ended up being was Stranger of Paradise, because it really seems like the Final Fantasy origin subtitle was kind of just tacked on at the end. But, yeah, it looks weird. The voice acting is cringy as hell, and Team Ninja can do good English voice acting because they have in Neo. Looking at that was Cotton again. Looking at the cover art, the PlayStation 2 cover art you have on the screen right now, the protagonist looks like DMC 3 Dante, the one that we don't talk about, the wrong Dante.
Wait, what?
No, that's the impression I'm getting, because he doesn't look like him. He looks like he was designed...
Dante.
Not DMC 3, sorry. DMC Remake. 3 was good.
I was gonna
Sorry.
slap you,
Hold
man.
on. I thought he meant that he looked like Dante from DMC.
No. I'm sorry.
Hold on, DMC. But if he was made in the DMC 3 engine, I thought that was what he meant.
You know what? That's actually a much better point. No. You're right. I apologize to Chris because he almost committed a war crime against me because I was wrong. He looks like... That's perfect, King. He looks like the DMC black-haired Dante made in Devil May Cry 3. Because I'm saying DMC and Devil May Cry to differentiate them. He looks like DMC Dante made in Devil May Cry 3's engine. That's the perfect... I forgot that wasn't... It was the 4th one, wasn't it? But it's not 4.
It came after
DMC.
4.
No, it's
DMC
not.
came after 4. Which 4 was the PS3. So 4 will be on the different generation.
Okay, I can't keep track of Devil May Cry. I'm sorry. Anyway, I've fucked up my point enough. It looks bad. I fucked up my point up. It looks bad. And but there was a game that I think I missed at the end called Forspoken, and I just saw the trailer for it, and they haven't had much of a. It hasn't had much of what they haven't shown much about what it is. They just released the title card, I think, today. But if you look at
that game was actually, it was called Project Athea. It was showed up in the
yes, Project Athea, yes,
Then it
and
changed
they
to
released the
Forspoken.
official title card today.
No, they were done actually a while ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
When was this?
about 2 months ago.
That's that.
Oh, sorry. All right, I'm misspeaking constantly now. I'm gonna.
If that was something new today, I would be at least it did that. But
Okay, that's my mistake then. I'm misspeaking too much at this point. I'm just gonna close out my end of it and say that Forspoken looks amazing. I love the traversal because Forspoken seems to have this emphasis on like fast-paced, hyper-accelerated movement. If you watch the gameplay, and I was looking at, there's a GIF actually on the wiki for the page where the game will have a focus on terrain traversal, speed, and fluidity, and you can see the way the character is dashing through the environment and jumping at meters a second, and it almost looks very similar to the Fox engine used in Metal Gear Solid 5. The way she's traversing, but like hyper accelerated with extra graphic effects. But yeah, I would say Square Enix was a weird mixed bag for me. I want to see what Hitman Sniper could be, but I'm cautious. Finding out that Nier Reincarnation is a mobile game has me disappointed. And basically, the only game that interests me wasn't even officially here today, which is Forspoken. So, yeah, it was a thing. It was a thing.
it existed. Mr. Nero,
It existed.
run us off. Mr.
Yeah,
Nero.
I didn't see much of this, so mine is gonna be pretty short, or as short as I can be, being long-winded and whatnot. Uh, just gonna run through it. Guardians of the Galaxy. I watched the trailer for it. It don't look bad. I mean, it feels like it needs a bit more, as you guys would have said. Um, However, I am glad they're making something like this. Like we need more single-player games. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you don't most of the time you get this kind of stuff. It don't be single player only. It'd be like single player with some stuff added on, right? Uh, really don't like Star Wars here. I don't know what it is. It feels like it's
What's
made
with the
too high.
hair?
I was supposed to say something.
Y'all hate his
I was
hair.
supposed to say something, right?
No, it's
Oh,
fine, but it feels like it's too high.
Hold on. I was to say this, right? I keep saying the only character that I like with her hair is my nigga Whis from Dragon Ball Super. Everybody else get a normal hair. He's the only one who keep that ridiculous hairstyle. But go ahead.
Fair. He's rocking the
But
Johnny
yeah,
Bravo.
like
Oh, Johnny
But-
Bravo. Johnny Bravo's another one too. Yeah. Two of them. The rest,
Yeah,
the rest
but-
of y'all just do it right.
everything else looks fine. I know you were talking about people going too close to the movies in a way. I feel like the only Marvel game that not the only one, but the only Marvel game I remember that felt more stylized. Even some parts of it was getting kind of movie-ish. That felt more stylized was Marvel Ultimate Alliance. They just said, "Screw the movies. We're just gonna do comic book outfits." Like they bring back in the X-Men. They put Wolverine his classic yellow and blue and all the campy looking type outfits. No, I feel like they were the last ones that actually made it really like, hey guys, we're just gonna do our own thing,
Okay.
But that's neither here nor there. Stranger of Paradise, I didn't see much of it, so I don't really know what to say. I saw the trailer, saw the combat. It looks kind of weak. Like, I don't feel they got much to it, to be honest.
Looks fine.
It looks serviceable. Yeah.
I do want to say, just staying on this point for a second, a good example of a game that is very cinematic and is Marvel technically. The Spider-Man games, they are so
Exactly.
strong on their own that they didn't need Tom Holland. In fact, when they changed Peter to look like Tom Holland
That was disappointing.
in Miles Morales, he looked wrong. They wanted the PS4 Parker back. So it is possible to have that strength without having to hinge on the Marvel movie representation of these characters. It's just your game needs to be strong enough to do it on its own.
You know
But
the thing is,
yeah,
right, I actually prefer the original guy to the Tom Holland copycat.
me too.
100%.
100%.
It wasn't a copycat. I think. No, man, I'm getting confused. Never mind. Continue.
No, the original dude to me, what I like about that, right? They started from early love.
Mhm.
This is his own thing. He's a more mature guy. And this is our Spider-Man. This is our Peter Parker. And I love them for doing that. My problem always comes is is like either go left or right. Either say, hey, look, we get it meant for the movies, or say, hey, look, we got our own guy, we got a nice, good actor here, we're gonna bring him in, and this is our universe. To me, it always feels like
Mhm.
you're kind of here, but you're kind of not. You can't get the license, but you want him look familiar. Nah, I don't agree with that. Left or right?
With the Peter with the Peter Parker they use in Miles Morales, it looks like if the PS4 Peter Parker was starting to anamorph into Tom Holland and stopped halfway. It looks weird, and I
I
don't
know,
like
I
it.
don't
And I
like
think they should have gone back to the Peter they used for the PS4 Spider-Man. But that's a good example of you not needing to use the movie representation of these characters.
it. Okay,
But that's just Insomniac. Insomniac can do no wrong to me right now.
exactly. Go ahead, Mr. Nero.
Right, and I was just looking at something here. Right. Right. Well, when they made the face for Spider-Man, it was supposed to resemble the voice actor more.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which sure, I guess. Moving on. Uh Life is Strange. Actually no wait. Yeah, Life is Strange. Both the remastered and true colors. I mean, I've seen Life is Strange before. I've watched gameplay of it. It's actually a pretty interesting game.
Mhm.
I looked at that remaster thing. Oh man, just render those tears. Oh my goodness,
Save
it's
Let's see
so
those tears with some
new.
tears
clarity.
for another day.
I didn't see the trailer for the new one, sadly, so I can't really say much on that.
Mhm.
The Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster. Hey, why not, right? Play the
Sure.
old game if you want.
Get that money.
Legend of Mana. I think they showed this like a while back.
Yeah, no, that
Isn't it?
wasn't there today. That wasn't there today. Not that I saw.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
I can't understand
Oh,
what
I'm
it is.
thinking. No, there was another Trials of Mana. That's what it was. That was the other game that got remastered a while back.
Okay.
So I don't know anything about Legend of Mana. So moving on.
Mhm.
Hey man, Wakanda forever. Again, it looks fine.
Mhm.
Listen. As much as I like the suit and Black Panther, they
Mhm.
still need to fix the game.
Yes.
No,
Fix Avengers
no,
first.
no. I mean, it's free update, so hooray for that, right? But
Yeah.
no amount of just pushing an expansion is going to fix the fundamental flaws with the game. Once they fix
No.
that, everything be Gucci. You could put everything else.
No amount of adding shit.
Um, gonna skip Hitman Sniper because I didn't see anything about it.
Mhm.
Near, I mean, it says that Near the Near reincarnation is a mobile game. But what can you do, right?
Yeah.
Let's start this.
Disappointing, but what can you do?
Uh, Final Fantasy VII Battle Royale. Yeah, that's
Oh, that's what I was
interesting.
looking at, the Battle Royale.
I
Okay.
mean, it kind of makes sense because they literally have soldiers in Final Fantasy. Such a
Mhm.
weird. That's such a weird thing, though. And honestly, I just looked at the trailer, the little short thing. It looks kind of cool. To be honest,
My
like
God.
if I had a good enough phone, I'd probably play it.
I'd run that. Okay.
Yeah, it looks interesting.
Hmm.
Uh, Babylon's Fall. Yeah, honestly, these ones I actually don't have much to say because honestly didn't get to look at it.
Mhm.
Oh, that's pretty. I like the combat looks nice actually. I
Mhm.
mean, it's platinum, so the combat is gonna look nice.
Yeah, that's
It's
where they
gonna look
shine.
good.
Yeah.
Light service. I mean, once they do it well, because I feel like light service games get a bad rap, but I feel it can be done well. Just that no one has done it well yet. That's the thing. Like Destiny was okay, but it had its flaws, you know. But I wish them all the best because if you could get a nice, good live service game with that level of detail and platinum action, that seems perfect. You
Hmm.
know. Um, I think that's it. I don't have any. That was it, right? For the
Yeah,
yes, I think so.
Guardians of the Galaxy, Final Fantasy Pixel, Avengers, Hitman, Near, Final Fantasy DLC, so much Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Babylon's Fall, Life is Strange. Yeah, that was all. Oh, and Stranger of Paradise, which you
Yeah.
said you didn't see. we don't talk about that one.
DMC. Terrible.
DMC.
But yeah, that's it for me, man.
All right. And
Wrong cloud.
oh my god. Chaos. Chaos.
Chaos, I am chaos. It's like in Punisher when Frank kept screaming, Bill! I'm gonna kill you, Bill! It's like that. Fuck that, man.
What
Get out of here with
happened,
that
how
shit.
in 2021 we can understand
Mm.
we love Japanese and kind of like English, but the different inflections in the language. You can't rip it straight from the Japanese. I put it into the English.
Lip syncing.
There has
Lip syncing.
so what point
Like the
no, they had money, so and they still break the game of the way. So let me move on. Let me move on.
yeah, I have my opinion on that. I think it's trying to match up. It's to say lip syncing is the incorrect way to put it, but to match up the timing of how they speak, and you can't match that by speaking normally. But that's really more as it applies to anime. It is what it is. It's not good.
I see.
But you actually have to go in and fix the lip flaps to work for English speaking, which
Which is
that's a lot of work.
Yep.
I see men doing deep fakes and fixing animation, so I don't
But
know.
it's not just the
I know
faces.
it's not that simple, but
It's not. It's not just the faces. It's also the body movements as well. Because I was commenting on how one person was pointing at Chaos, the dude with the pink hair, and like how it seems so out of place. But if he was speaking in Japanese, where the original actor and probably the original uh, mapping to and the actor originally inflected based on the movements of the character, it probably would have made more sense. But it seemed out of place hearing the English voice actor. It's a lot of work to go between from one to the other because the inflections, like y'all are saying in the dialogue, it's just so completely different. So you just got to match one and hope for the best. Play the game in Japanese and with subtitles. That's it.
honestly, I can't
There you
play
go.
dub. I submit he dub better, but honestly, this might gotta be a game. It's just subtitles only, baby. Like real thing.
Subtitles only. Play in Japanese.
I pushing for anime and games to get Japanese get better English translations. But come on, this
They're
one.
not all bad
I
though.
know, but this is one that like I can't even defend.
Yeah, this is bad.
I usually be like, if he dub art, I'd be like, man, I'll watch the dub. But this is one that I'll be like, nah, this play in Japanese. But
Whoever did Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, fix this.
yeah, that was good.
Hire this man.
That man's a legend. But we're on now to the final part of our show, the part that y'all been waiting for. Jump in.
Mm-hmm.
The early E3 awards hosted by the Anything Goes podcast and three top tier gaming analysts. All right, let's start it off. We're going around the table. What was everyone's best conference? Best presser conference, what you want to call it? Zacchariah,
I like near.
sorry.
Okay, cool.
You got streaming, so
My fair. I think my best, because this is all purely subjective. This is purely my opinion. My best presser, best showcase was Devolver, and it's almost like because I'm a fucking hipster. But no, I am. I truly am, and I'm a contrarian in my tastes in many ways. But
I don't let football.
as as loaded as Xbox, as hefty as significant as Xbox's showcase was, Devolver showed that you can have an entertaining and informative and interesting presser in a very small amount of time. It was about 30 minutes. And that has to do with a lot with the games that they have. And I was definitely on the fence. Do I prefer Devolver? Do I prefer Xbox? But it was really as I was going back over the Xbox presser and looking at the games they had and how little interest I had in so many of them, just as a percentage of how much of their presser kept me interested, Devolver was my favorite. To call it the best, I'll say Devolver was my favorite presser of the weekend.
So you think we should do best and then favorite?
You know what? Yes. So I'll say my favorite was Devolver.
Yeah,
Right.
Favorite. All right. We do favorite and best. So favorite was for you, Devolver, and would you say
Favorite Devolver. Speaking more objectively, try as best as I can. I'll say Xbox.
Okay. I'll go a second. I might do the opposite. I would say Xbox was my favorite, but
Okay.
Devolver was the best. I just think the presentation on Devolver was top notch. It was funny. Had a lot of very good games, very interesting games, and a lot of games that piqued my interest. But
Mhm.
I think I was just so happy to see Microsoft actually perform and do very well.
Yeah.
My Black Queen Sarah Bond came out on stage, even though she has a funny lip sync at first. But Forza Horizon was there. I'm glad to see
Best
Halo
teeth
is
in the
back.
game. Hmm.
I'm glad to see Halo was back. Well, the
Yeah.
campaign is still up for debate, but Stalker 2, I had a lot of interest in Stalker 2.
Mhm.
The fact they got Flight Sim on consoles, I think is amazing. Um,
Impressive.
very, very impressive, man. Replace
Hmm.
looked very good. Ascent looked very good. Atomic Heart is a game I had
Hmm.
interest for a long time. I got to see Outer
Hmm.
Worlds 2 plays, but
Oh, that's right. I forgot about Outer Worlds 2 because I was very excited about that. Disappointed it's not on PlayStation, but hell yeah, Outer Worlds 2. Give me more of that Obsidian goodness. I
it's
need to
fun.
play the first one.
Diablo. I played a little Diablo back in the day with my dad way back in the day, so I got a little heart for RTS. Not RTS, but dungeon crawlers. The Shadow
Hmm.
looks pretty good. Shredders, we gotta get shout to Shredders. Snowboarding
Of course.
looks fun as well. For Omar Stein Ranchers, it actually piqued my interest a little bit.
Mm.
And the fact Hades is coming to console, I think is also a very good look. And I surprised you didn't mention Psychonauts 2 as one of your favorite games, Mr. Zacchariah. I was pretty
No,
surprised.
it's not one of my favorites. I because I never played it, but it's
Oh,
one that piqued my interest because I know I mentioned it a lot in the stream, but I actually forgot to write it down because I was so intrigued by the trailer. I've actually not played the original Psychonauts, but I was very intrigued in the I think because I mentioned that I love like platformers and the early 2000s era of adventure games. That's what makes me want to play Psychonauts because I forgot to write it down. That's why I didn't mention it.
okay. And the Battlefield gameplay, I made some criticism early up in the show, but honestly, gameplay looked very good, and I was thoroughly impressed. I, I don't know if we probably discuss this next week about the
Mm,
pricing and stuff next week or the following week, but
sure.
because I do have some concerns with Halo multiplayer being free as newer brought up and Apex doing so well, but I still think the game was
Hmm.
still pretty good regardless. So I was
Yeah.
thoroughly surprised with that, and I honestly really like Xbox show today. That so, but for me, Devolver was the best. 'Cause I think they had a higher quality of games. They had See You Sleep. They had Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. They have Contraband or anything. So to me, Devolver with the kitty dog was super funny and the microwave.
Why you gotta do grounded like that, honey? I shrunk the kids.
So Devolver was the best in my opinion, and Xbox was my
Okay.
favorite. Mr.
Okay.
Nero, what was your favorite and what
All
was
right.
the best show?
All right. So the best one to me was S-Boss for sure. Like they just had, again, good pacing, no nonsense, bam, 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 get it out. Let me get this thing done, right? In terms of favorite, hmm, I don't know, man. That's a tough one. I feel like I'm gonna have to go with Gearbox.
Man, you trolling right now. I would kick you off this podcast.
The
I
sarcasm in
would
his
fuck
voice.
this. All right, go ahead.
No, no, no,
Podcast
Devolver,
over.
right? I,
Yeah.
I, I, I said I like indie games. I love the uniqueness of them. I probably all the ones that they showed up. I'm probably gonna play most of them when I get a chance. Maybe not Wizard of the Gun because I feel like that's one of those things that works better with like a team. You know,
Mm.
any of these single player type ones, I'm probably gonna play. Uh, I don't know why this keeps sticking me, but just like the highlight of that thing of that presser was just that demon kiss my wife. I don't know why. I don't know why it sticks in me. It's just so ridiculous. It's just like demon face woman. Ah, that demon kissed my wife or something. It's so stupid,
It's so
but I love
stupid,
it.
but only they can do it.
So yeah, Devolver's my favorite, honestly.
All right. We're moving on now to the worst presser of
Mm.
E3. And honestly, I'll let talk again. Mr. Nero, what was the worst for you, man?
Gearbox.
Straight to the
Mainly for
point.
the fact that
Mm.
it could it like what the way how they did it, it could have just not happened, right? It didn't really
Mhm.
feel like a presser. Like how long was it? It was like what, like half an
Half
hour
an
or
hour.
It
so,
was about
Yeah.
basically.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was about 30 minutes. No, it was an hour
Yeah,
actually. It was a full hour. It was a
What?
full hour. It
really?
was an hour.
It did feel like an hour. Anyway, um, yeah, like they
Let me
could have
double check.
cut out because I think the only thing that they really showed in detail was Godfall, right?
You know, I honestly forget about Control
E...
coming to PS4.
Yeah, I mean, like
Yeah,
they did.
yeah. That was basically a Godfall gameplay because Godfall already
Yeah,
exists as a game.
yeah, they did show it off and they show like the new expansion and stuff like that, but not like a lot of it. They just show you the new expansion coming,
Mm.
and it's like all these stuff that they showed could have been separate videos that I just sent out throughout the weekends. It didn't have to be a time slot. So I think I would consider that the worst one.
All right, Mr. Zacchariah, where's show?
Gearbox. Gearbox. Like I don't have to fucking hesitate. No, like Chris, Nero just. Sorry, I keep saying your actual name. Like Nero just said.
Is that his
I
actual
know,
name?
but still, I'm being faithful to King. That sounds wrong.
What?
to King's presentation of his podcast.
All right, keep it rolling.
I'm
Keep it
being
rolling.
faithful
Keep
to
it
his.
rolling. Keep it rolling.
No, yeah, because like you just said, this could have just been a series of YouTube videos they put on the page, and it didn't need to be a presser. I didn't need to stream this. Like they could have just dropped these on like the Microsoft or GameSpot or IGN YouTube channels and just call that a day. But they took their hour because it actually was an hour long. The IGN stream actually has an hour and 19 minutes. God knows of what. GameSpot has 57 minutes. But you just talk about your movie and then you bring us some Godfall gameplay, which, for fuck's sake, is lens flares the game. And Homeworld 3, you talk about it in snippets in between the games, and you show the same Tiny Tina's Wonderland trailer that you saw at Summer Game Fest, and then Tribes of Midgard, I don't care about. Gearbox, 100% the least impressive, to me, the worst showcase of the weekend.
Right. And since Zacchariah is a big fighting fan, this is a unanimous decision. Easy Gearbox. This to me could have been a YouTube video. Put your movie on YouTube and I probably would have watched it, but you wasted a lot of people's time, in my opinion. You showed off mid-fall, which no one cares about, and not to be rude. We wanted gameplay and nothing was shown. You showed off StarCraft, BTEC StarCraft. What was his name again?
Homeworld 3.
You see, you got me disrespecting.
But this is the OG, though.
You got me disrespecting a game that probably is very legendary, but come on.
Well, we have no impression of it. Like, we don't know what to expect. And this didn't help. This presser didn't help.
No, and to me, it hurt the game.
They're forcing me to go look. They're forcing me to do research on it.
And honestly, Gearbox is easily unanimous decision. All right, we're going to go
100%.
on to, you know what, let's keep it with surprising. What was your guys' a press conference that surprised you all? I'm Zacchariah. Press conference that surprised you.
Xbox, I think, because we've commented enough on how they really improved the presentation. It was efficient. It was informative. They had 2 hours. It didn't really feel like a 2-hour stream because they had enough interesting game reveals and interesting stuff. I'm still hurt that I saw nothing to do with Hellblade 2, which is an Xbox and Windows 10 exclusive. I got no information on it. I'm disappointed in that. Apart from that, Xbox and Bethesda, I say, had the most surprising. I was most surprised in how satisfied I was with their presser. Because apart from that, the other 3 that we have here were as expected. So, yeah, it wasn't easy to surprise me in comparison.
All right. I'll go different. I would say Devolver. I've always liked Devolver's presentation, but the fact that they're able to keep this up for so many years in a row and not fall off, I think is amazing. And I don't know, I was actually bursting out laughing in this presser. And I think this is one of the funniest one they did. I like this one a year before one. So to me, Devolver keeping the consistency. The chili dog stick just have you cracking up all the time. So
Chili dogs.
So Devolver pleasantly surprised. I used to say it probably was expected, but I think why I can't put Microsoft is I think there was so much hype around Microsoft for me that I can't put it as surprising. Yes, their presentation should be off in the past, but I think there was so much hype going into Microsoft that it almost had to be good in a way. Devolver keeping up, even within my best presser, and I used to be in the game hater at one point. To me, it's the surprise of this show. Devolver, you do great work, keep it up. So Devolver,
absolutely
surprise me, best surprise.
Most surprising, yes, most surprising.
Nero.
I would say I don't know. I want to say Xbox, mainly for the fact that you know we've made the joke all the time. Why people want to play Xbox? Man, they got no exclusives, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you
Mm-hmm.
see like Starfield is exclusive, right? Yeah, Starfield exclusive, Redfall. Um, oh, there's no one missing. Outer Worlds 2, like Outer Worlds 2 wasn't super surprising, but I mean, like you see that they clearly put in some effort into getting building your we call it catalog,
Catalog.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
right? Actually, I would technically I would be saying that the Bethesda part of it was the most surprising because the games that just showed off actually felt very different than what Bethesda normally puts out on the radar. Well, not actually, not that different because everything Bethesda always just say Fallout, but I forget they also do the Doom and Wolfenstein and all
Mm-hmm.
those, right? But I don't know. I feel like that one was the most surprising to me. Like they really bolstering the catalog, and then also the RPG at the end was like I was like, huh, really? That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's that. What they're showing RPGs in my Xbox stream? What is this madness,
Yeah.
right? Uh,
Yeah.
one quick thing before I continue. I saw something about Xbox mini fridge. What was that?
All right.
They're embracing the memes.
All right.
That's all it is.
We move past that. Anyway.
They're embracing
So
the memes.
so that was at the end of the conference, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I
That
didn't see
Yeah,
the
it
end.
was. It was the very end.
Okay.
Like after I thought it was done, then they showed the mini fridge.
Okay, wait. Question: is it real?
It's real.
it is.
I'm 100% sure it's real.
So why would they not consider Xbox was embracing
Yeah.
mini fridge? Bruh,
I just save the cringe for the end. I get a credit.
we got. Don't worry, we got Xbox at home. Opens mini fridge.
Yeah.
Wait for the PS5 wireless router.
Oh no.
All right, guys, and we're going to end it now with most disappointing conference.
Mm.
I'll start this off.
Mm.
For me, it gotta be Square Enix, man. I was really hoping that we'd see some more Final Fantasy 16. I wanted
Mm.
Babylon Falls to be single player, and I expected more of a DMC type of game. So maybe that's personally my fault. Guardian Galaxy, I made my criticisms earlier. More and more the fun of this game at the end, the PS2 game. I was really hoping that this would be a brand new game coming to life that I thought they would really tee up Final Fantasy in another direction. That if you're not a fan of the heavy RPG route, you want to say more action oriented, that this would have been
Mm.
it. And I don't think that's it. And we also know Forspoken. I really want to see more Forspoken at the awards. At the press, sorry, and it wasn't there. It wasn't bad. It wasn't horrible. It was pretty well paced. But to me, it was nothing memorable about it. Like Ubisoft, it wasn't the best either. But it was. I think Ubisoft was a better show altogether. And I actually prefer a lot of games on the Ubisoft presser. So to me, the most disappointing has to be Square Enix. Zacchariah, what's your most disappointing game?
I'd say
presser? Sorry.
presser. Yeah, I'd say Square Enix as well. I think because like I've said before, I went into this weekend having no expectations because like you were talking about the games you're looking forward to, the games that you were keeping an eye on. I went into this completely off the pulse of the games industry and what was coming. And even though I didn't really expect much from Square Enix, I'd still say that their presser kind of left me frustrated, especially because when they showed things that looked like they could be interesting, they ended up it felt like a bait and switch. Like, hey, here is the voice of Diana from Hitman. I'm thinking, oh shit, a new Hitman expansion. I know a new Hitman wouldn't make sense because 3 just came out, but something with Hitman, and then you get what might be a mobile game. It's like, here's Nier. This is a mobile game. I didn't even know Forspoken was a thing until after the presser, and now that I know about it, I'm disappointed they didn't show it here. They didn't show more. Maybe they didn't have more to show, but at least, give us what you have. Like, they started with what they had the most of, which was Guardians, and then it was just, hey guys, don't forget, we also have Final Fantasy. And like you said, Stranger of Paradise, I keep forgetting the name. It's such a ridiculous sounding name. Stranger of Paradise, I kind of don't care.
Sorry,
Babylon's
Nobot.
Fall. What's that?
Sorry, Nobot.
Sorry, no, but you know, like I kind of don't care. Babylon's Fall, you know, I like Platinum, but it hasn't grabbed me yet. Yeah, I'd say Square definitely. And again, I was joking when I said, you know, give me some Deus Ex, and I'm not surprised it wasn't there. But in such a disappointing show, it would have been nice for them to give me something. But yeah, definitely Square. But I do want to say, you mentioned Ubisoft, and they weren't too bad, at least compared to like Gearbox and as disappointing as Square. But the fact that none of us named Ubisoft in any of these categories kind of really speaks to how unremarkable Ubisoft's showcase was. Like it wasn't disappointing, it wasn't good, it wasn't bad. It kind of just was. Like we saw Rainbow Six and we saw Far Cry and we saw Rocksmith and Mario and Rabbids. I just wanted to make the note that Ubisoft really kind of just existed this weekend.
Okay. Mr. Nero? Most disappointing cluster for you.
That was a screen. Well, I feel like they didn't really have much going on, as Zacchariah said. Most of the stuff that showed off were just, hey, you want this? Get a phone. You want this? Get a phone. You do guys not have phones? Right? Um,
Diablo Mobile.
but I mean, yeah, it just felt kind of meh. Like it wasn't terrible, but just kind of
It wasn't bad, it was a letdown.
Yeah, it was a letdown.
Yeah, just yeah, have anything to grab you, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I was gonna say, oh, let me call Gearbox again, but like I can't call that because it was nothing. So it wasn't
It wasn't
'cause
disappointing. It was
nothing.
just straight up bad. Like there was nothing to disappoint me. It was just what was it? I'm not disappointed. I'm mad.
But yeah, so I was just agreeing. It's
All right.
same as well.
Yeah,
All
for
right.
sure.
One last thing before we close. I remember Nero did break. It's like he did start off and they did cut him out. There were 5 press conferences. If you all want to give a ranking out of 10 to them, I'll let you do it. I think Nero wanted to do it, so if you want to go ahead, Nero. Let's start. Devolver Digital out of 10. What would you give it?
Yeah, give it 10.
Huh? What you said?
I would give it I would give it a 10, right?
10. All right. 10. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, is that correct? No, I'm laughing.
All right. Xbox.
Um, hmm. I feel Xbox is like a 9. Like it's pretty high up there as well.
Okay.
8.5 because it's still high up there.
Mhm.
Mostly stuff that they showed off, I actually was interested in, even though I don't have a Xbox.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'll get like a. I give it a 9. Give it a 9.
Okay. Ubisoft.
Middle of the road, give it like a 6. Like it was pretty standard. They show some cool stuff, but it's the same stuff really.
Square.
3.
Wow.
Oof.
Only because of Final Fantasy Battle Royale. No, wait.
How
No,
dare you?
I completely forgot Babylon's Fall was shown. But out of 5, it's
Hmm.
only out of 5 because of Babylon and Final Fantasy Battle Royale. Moving on.
All right. Gearbox.
Why would I damn that with a rating? There's nothing.
All right, Zacchariah, do you want to do ratings or you're not in for it?
Yeah, sure. I'm up for it.
All right, Devolver.
9. I think because I don't. I'm one of those dudes. I don't believe in perfect scores, but as a presentation, as a showcase, you know, they didn't have the best AAA games, but they had games that kept me interested, and they did it in a way that kept me interested with their what was it, Devolver Pass Plus, Max Pass
Max
Plus.
Pass Plus.
Yeah, Max Pass Plus
Best value game?
subscription service. They did it in a way that kept me super interested throughout the entire 30 minutes. I'll give Devolver a 9. That's as close to perfect as a presser can get for me.
Now with a 9.5.
No. I don't like 0.5s. That kind of makes it needlessly complicated.
All right.
Oh well.
I give Xbox a 7. Like people tend to think 7 is mediocre, but I think 7 is a good score.
Seven is a very good
Yes,
score.
7's a good score. It was good. I think, like I said before, the reason why Devolver was my favorite as opposed to Xbox being the best is because it was definitely the most substantial. But in terms of the games as a percentage of the entire presser and the interest that I had, Xbox definitely captured less of my attention in the time they had, proportionate to Devolver. It was good, but it could have been better. But that is purely a personal choice. So 7.
Okay, Ubisoft.
I give Ubisoft. I'd say 5. It wasn't good. It wasn't bad. Mario and Rabbids looked okay. Rocksmith looked okay. Rainbow Six looked okay. Far Cry 6 looked okay. That's Watch Dogs looked okay. It was a whole
Everything
bunch
looked
of
pretty
okay.
okay.
It was a whole bunch of okay.
Square.
Yeah. Square Enix, I would say a 4. Because, like I said, it's a disappointment. It wasn't bad, but when you bring up titles and IP that could grab me, and then it's an iteration that won't grab me, the letdown, it would have been a 5, but it's a 4. It's just under. It's just less than okay.
Are we ranking Gearbox?
I was gonna say not applicable, but Chris beat me to that joke. But what the fuck, Gearbox? 0, man.
All right, I'll do my ranking.
It wasn't good. Like I can't even make another joke about it. It was bad.
All right, I'll do my rankings and we end the show on this note. I'll do Devolver 9. Zach is gonna hit me. Xbox, I get a 7.5.
It's your own choice. It's your own ranking. If you want to use half numbers, go ahead.
Ubisoft 5. Decent show. It is what it is. Square, I don't know, man. I'm between a 4 and a 3. And I already used half numbers already. That's a 4. I'm being generous. And Gearbox, -8. And that's the end of our show, guys.
-5 stars.
And that's the end of our show, guys. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah.
Thank you for King Stones in the chat. Mr. Kelly was in the chat. Depending how the news breaks down and how the guys are available, we might do a show next week or the following week, depending on the guys' schedule.
Sounds good.
So we see you all next week, guys. And remember to like, comment, and subscribe.